Hello, it's me again, James, from Tearing Down Walls, Building Bridges. I told you I'd be back. My hands are still kind of swollen, so it's hard to do things. I did a little typing. It wasn't easy. But I'm going to read from my typing today, and of course add and take away as I see fit, because a sermon or a word given by voice is never the same as paper. We're going to start out with Acts 28:27. For his people hearts have become callous. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise they might see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them. Y'all have all noticed I start out with that a lot. It's because it's a very true statement. Very few of you bother taking time to actually hear or see what is in front of you. You trust what is presented, and you test it. You don't go and test it. You don't test the word. You don't test rumors. It's like some people think, oh, DHS buys cars for poor people and all these other things. You don't test it. You don't see for yourself what's really going on. You assume what is going on. Therefore, many lies and many mistruths are out there. Today, Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is no male and female. For you all one in Christ Jesus. That leads us to Philippians 2:1-8. So if there's any encouragement in Christ, any comfort from love, please understand love there and underline it, any participation in the Spirit, any affection and sympathy, complete my joy by being in the same mind. Hold on. My keyboard moved on me. I guess it wants me to say something about same mind. But we'll get there. Very much so. Having the same love, being in full accord, and of one mind. Do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility. Count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus.
Somebody messaged you on Facebook.
There is a very interesting post that I got not long ago. And I found it to be very moving and very true that I kept it. But at the time, I didn't know it was leading to this. I didn't know everything I'd been talking about had been leading to this. But over the last 2 weeks being down sick and a lot of prayer and meditating, I've come to a lot of answers. The saying is very simple. I don't know who the author is. Whoever they are, please give them credit. The devil is not fighting religion. He is too smart for that. He is producing a counterfeit Christianity. So much like the real one, good Christians are afraid to speak out against it. Please underline that. We are plainly told in the scriptures that in the last days men will not endure sound doctrine and depart from faith and heap to themselves teachers to tickle the ears. We live in an epidemic of this itch, and popular preachers who have developed ear tickling into a fine art. A true statement to many. We follow the sweet tongue of the fatherless as they teach seed faith and promises of grand answers to prayers, making the word all joy, and teach that grace covers all, even when you do things unintentionally, on purpose to use grace. The 7 deadly sins are the things I'm focusing on when it comes to unity. And unity is our title today. Unity of the church and why there is none. Greed. The 7 deadly sins listed. not by word or definition, but by description. Let's look at them. The one, greed, is large, one that feeds many reasons our church will not unite. Why, if united, they must share in prize. The prize being money, power, fame. The money, your tithes, would be used for more than higher pay and collection percentages for programs they control. Some directors collect as much as 20% for getting donations for these groups to help people. This also explains why most groups only help enough to get people by and not fix the problems. Now, don't get me wrong, I've said this many times, and this is off script. Don't get me wrong, there are many groups that are doing seed love and help love. That is very important. People need food, people need clothing, people need band-aids, people need a bill paid now and then. And there's a lot of members of these groups and volunteers that love what they do and love people. Don't get me wrong. The problem being with Band-Aid help is Band-Aid help is supposed to help you while true help cures you. But this isn't the case. It's all Band-Aid help and no cures. Now, why is it all Band-Aid help? Anybody answer that? Anybody know the answer to that? Yes, greed. Greed that they would have to share. Greed that they would have to shut their aid down because they fixed the problem. And go on to something else. Our nation, okay, let's face it. I'm going to read a little more here. It's our world is run by 1%, and they're not happy yet. And the evil one loves whispering in the ears of the lower middle class and upper class middle class of how people of lower class are lazy and lying and just don't want to work, and they're just trying to live off their taxes, and how welfare and churches do all the things that they do not do. Me and a friend the other day, it's sad, even churches believe these lies. It's what's funny. They'll tell you go to this church, that church, as they do things, and they don't do them anymore. But we were talking about that the other day. There was a Catholic association here in our town that used to do a lot. I mean, just incredibly a lot for people. And they collected tons of money for doing it and did it. And they were really helping people. They had programs to help you learn work skills. They had programs to get you where you didn't need food stamps anymore. They had these programs going. But you ask anyone on the streets today, or even go to them today, and you find out they barely give food now. And you have to go through a ton of red tape for that. Soup kitchens that people used to be able to go to for food each day that are stuck on the streets are gone. People have to walk miles on top of miles just to get a meal during the day because they ain't got no way to cook. Food banks, there's a lot of food banks, but a lot of them are giving out rotten fruit, wore out vegetables, and some things just aren't worth eating. I've talked about it many times about poverty being the fastest growing minority in the world. And the reason why I say it's a minority is because it has no race, it has no sex, it has no color, but they're programmed to believe they're a minority. So they don't understand that there's more of them than the people who are dragging them down. There's more of them than the ones taking advantage of them. There's more of them than there are the ones charging them money and making these laws that keep them bound down to the ground. But see, that's the idea of the middle class and upper class, to bind down the poor so that they're like slaves, so that their money, their pennies, their dimes, and the churches can yell for seed money. They can yell for dimes and pennies from these people, taking everything they got with promises of grandeur of God and all these things. And don't get me wrong, God is more than worthy, and God does grand things out of your tithes. This is very true, but not the way they're putting it. Not everyone who scrapes up $100 out of their check each month and gives it to these people and does without food and things that they need for it are getting these great miracles. And the preachers will tell them it's their fault, it's their faith, it's their problem. But it's not. They're being lied to by this false Christianity that the true Christians don't speak up about. We need to be pulling our churches together. We need to demand of our pastors the truth. We need to demand of the higher members of our church that they hold hands with other churches, with other groups, with Muslims, with Jews, with anyone creating aid, that we stand together for these things. We need to demand these things of our church. For these things are demanded us of our Father. That we unite for the good. We unite for the better. We need to demand that agencies find cures to economic problems and other things instead of just taking the food from the baby's mouth and walking away. We need to stop the evil lies that whisper within our ears. We need to insist. We need to insist. And I'm going to leave you with that thought today. I want you to think about greed and love and how they counterfeit each other. And how love is that which you should get hold of. Love is that you should hold. Love is the bridge you should build between each other. Love. Love and its attributes. Love and its guide. And how unity is the answer, not separation. Now I'm going to leave you with that today and ask you to please join in my group in my Building Bridges. We're trying to join orphanages and co-ops in order to improve their economic situation, help them make their own money, and help them unite for their own good. We're going to ask you to start there if you will. I still need help. I'm trying to start a booth to get help. I have a booster program that's on my page. If you can buy a t-shirt or two, you can get something for your money and at the same time help me make a living. Because this is all I have. This and what I can do outside for an income. Anyway, love and praise to you all, and thank you for taking time.